All right, this is video 3. Let's do this. Hey everybody, Ron Carruthers here. I am considered by many the godfather of the college planning business. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I have been working with families that did not save enough for college or don't want to pay retail for college. They want to pay wholesale, or families that are genuinely curious about getting in. In this video, what I want to explain to you is the importance of the S.A.T and the A.C.T. So we're going to go to the whiteboard and I'm going to whip these out. First of all, I want to give you guys some tips here. That's what my cameraman meant about pushing in with that. So S.A.T, A.C.T class. So a lot of times people get really worked up about this and nervous about the S.A.T and or the A.C.T and their importance in the role. So let me explain to you a couple points of this. First of all, there are over 1,000 schools where the S.A.T and the A.C.T are optional, and there's some good schools in there. So this is not mandatory. If you want a good website, you can go to fairtest.org. And that will give you a list of all the schools that participate in the program of not requiring S.A.Ts or A.C.Ts, because if I had $1 for every time that I heard someone tell me my kid's just not a good test taker, I would have a lot of dollars. But anyway, so people get nervous about this. So there is an organization that actually promotes non-test taking. And when it comes to admissions, there is a huge area. It is only one piece of what the schools are looking at. Frankly, if you take a school like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, what their admissions officers have told me that they're really looking for is 3 things. Number 1 is good grades. Now, good grades are different depending on the school you're applying to. So what constitutes good grades at Harvard, Stanford, and Yale, where it's expected that you have pretty much solid straight A's. The same definition doesn't apply at a private school out, say on the West Coast like Loyola Marymount or Chapman or Cal State University or UT Austin. Their definition of good grades is different. But that is an area that every school is looking at. The second area is your board scores, your S.A.T and your A.C.T, unless they're actually on this list here, this fair test list. The third area is the interesting one, because it's the area where you get into distinguishing excellence. That's the fancy DE. It's the fancy university approved word for this. Stands for distinguishing excellence. And basically, if you're applying to any school, they're going to look at your grades, they're going to look at your board scores, unless they're one of these guys, and then they're going to look at what else have you done. Stanford admissions officer once told me, she goes, we expect excellent grades, we expect excellent board scores. What we really don't want is a bunch of bookworms who come to Stanford and lock themselves in their room and don't do anything else. We want kids with energy and drive and passion, so they want to see what else you've done. So if you're watching this and you're the parent of a student and you want to know what can I do to help my kid get into a top school, number 1 is you want them to do good in school. And the worst possible grade that you can get is a B+ or a C+. And the reason is in the weighting system, it weights at 3.0, say in the case of a B+, instead of a 4.0 if it was an A-, or it weights as a 2.0 instead of a 3.0 if it's a C+ instead of a B-. So we always tell our kids, be careful. If you've got a solid B in a class, you're right at 85, great, you're doing great. But if you're at 89.2 and the cutoff for an A is 90.0, we need to really look hard at that and make sure that we can get that grade up, because that will help in the long run. And by the way, schools also look for grade increase, meaning if you do so-so your freshman year, better in your sophomore year, and better still in your junior year, that counts in your favor. So don't worry if you had a poor freshman year or something, and you do want to do well in your junior year. So that's number 1. The secondly is S.A.T and A.C.T prep. What we found working at this a long time, my team and I, so again, if you haven't seen my videos before, I was in the Certified Financial Planner program, and I was studying to be a CPA when I tripped across the college rules for money And I have a whole other video that walks you through that. But later it became apparent that at the high school level, at least in California, although later we found it was nationwide, there was a lot of confusion about how to get in and why you're going in the first place. So we really worked hard to make that happen and help families understand that. So again, my background is accounting, finance. I work in all areas of personal finance, but I happen to specialize in this. If you're wondering who is Ron Carruthers, why does he know this? Anyway, back to your board scores. What we found is that on this S.A.T or A.C.T, if you go through and study those, I'll let you look at this side now. If you go through and study for those at 30 hours, 30 concentrated hours at 15 minutes at a time, we found that that's when your scores measurably begin to increase. So if you're not doing well on these grades, on these exams, it might just be that you haven't practiced enough at it. Any differently than I'm a swimmer and was a swimmer in high school. I was never a runner. I was really not very good at any other sports. But if you took me out on the golf course, never having golfed in my life, and expected me to do well from watching a video, I might not. But if I practice for 30 hours, I may not be great, but I'm going to be a lot better than I was. That's your magic number. And we've also found that a way of studying for the S.A.Ts or A.C.Ts that seems to work the best is guided self-study. And all that means is you use the internet to study one subject at a time, 10, 15 minutes, until you get closer to taking the exam, and then you start taking practice exams to really get comfortable with it. Back to our sports analogy, think of those practice exams as like your dress rehearsals, and then you're ready to suit up for game day. So here's the other interesting point, by the way, on this S.A.T and A.C.T. While it only counts for a small percentage of your admission, and some schools don't even care, it counts for almost 100% of the merit money that you're given. So what you want to pay very close attention to, particularly if your family makes over $200,000 a year, and your question might be, how do I get free money? Most schools will pay for a student that comes in at the 75th percentile or above for their school. Perfect example. We were looking at a couple private universities for one of my students that wanted to be a nurse. She has a 26 on the A.C.T, took it when she was a sophomore. That's a great score for just taking it as a sophomore. Now she's a senior getting ready to take it again. And what we noticed was at all the schools she was interested in, 28 to 29 was that 75th percentile. So the 26 would likely get her in, but a 28, 29, 30 would likely get her $5, $10, $15,000 in addition to any need-based aid that her family would get, which I talk about in another video. So keep in mind, almost 100% of merit money counts based on S.A.T scores. So it's worth paying attention to, and it's worth doing good for. I'll give you one last tip on what admissions officers look for, and that's this. What they've told us repeatedly is they don't want to see a joiner. And that means someone who joins the Spanish club, the French club, the Greek club, the German club, just to join and throw it on a resume. What they really want to see is depth of experience and commitment to experience. In other words, you're far better off joining one of those clubs or a couple of clubs and really being active in those clubs. If you're a senior watching this, still not too late, unless you've already turned in your applications. So that's a big deal, is paying attention to all of that and making sure you have good grades for the school you're looking for, you have good S.A.Ts for the school you're looking for, and you have 1, 2, or 3 distinguishing excellences, things that you're passionate about, whether it's sports, clubs, musical instrument, volunteer work, that set you apart from the other student. And that is the winning formula for success when getting into the college of your choice. And I'll add one other thing, that is, if you want to have a really good idea of whether you're in or not at a school, this works at pretty much every arena except the Ivy League. The hardest of the hard to get into, this isn't going to work at. But at every other school, other than those top 25 or 30 universities in the country, If you have nothing else to go by, and you're at or above that 75th percentile on one of these board scores, the odds are better than 60-70% that you're going to get in there. So that's it for today's video. We publish a lot of these videos to talk about all areas of personal finance, paying for college, getting in, choosing a career. Be sure to tune back in to get more videos. And if you like this video, please help us out. Share this video with your friends. Hit the like button. Put some comments in. Give us some video ideas. We'll work to make those happen. And that's what we're here for. So my name is Ron Carruthers. That's signing off for this video. We'll put more out. You'll learn more then. Hope you enjoyed it.